So let's get ready to Rumble. The Royal Rumble is Saturday night from San Antonio, Texas. And Raw 30 this week, just a few takeaways from Raw 30, essentially the go-home show for the Royal Rumble. And I don't know if you caught it, but I did text you and I did put out on Twitter before it happened that Brock Lesnar would be interfering in that main event match for the United States Championship. And I will say, the reason I never mentioned it last week, the reason I never put it out earlier is because it wasn't until about 10 o'clock before it even came to my mind going back to the Rumble this year. I was thinking...
Hey, thanks for spoiling that, by the way.
Well, I didn't know what was going to happen. I said, I think this is going to happen. So even if you didn't watch it or not, like, I did it before it happened. I didn't say, hey, you missed this. I said, I think this is going to happen.
Can I be honest with you? Watching Raw 30, I thought it was okay. It wasn't the greatest show. Like, I hyped it up to be such a great show, and we did. We were looking forward to it.
I found it very entertaining from start to finish.
I thought it was okay. I
loved the American Badass Undertaker versus the regular Undertaker. I liked them changing that up.
What? I mean,
I like that the
way they did some of the things was kind of, you know what I mean?
I do like that, things like DX or whatever, it didn't get over on Imperium. Things like we might have seen in the past where like DX would come out and then like make the current talent look bad. Like they would get one over. They do all their finishers on Imperium or something like that.
To me,
they let the current wrestlers kind of
the best segment of the show was the beginning. The trial of Sami Zayn.
That was great. And I do like, that's what I'm saying. As the legends were great, but I do have to say that the current talent spoke for themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing I did like. To me, I don't know. I didn't like the whole Becky Lynch cage match thing. That was that to me just left a bad taste in my mouth.
I mean, it's fine if something happens because, I'm fine with some things not being great or, not leading up as long as other things do.
See, the whole Brock Lesnar thing just kind of went meh to me. I don't know.
I'm not saying it was great or not, but the reason I predicted it and the reason I thought about it was because I was thinking about this upcoming week's Royal Rumble. And I was thinking, to be honest with you, that I'm not as excited for this year's Royal Rumble as I was last year. And obviously the Royal Rumble matches are great. That's what sells the tickets. But the undercard of the Rumbles this year is not compared to last year. One of last year's matches that popped in my head, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, obviously popped in my head. Hey, wait a minute. Aren't they going to do something again? They just obviously did something in Saudi Arabia. Imagine they're going to do something here at not at Royal Rumble, but coming up at WrestleMania. So that's what kind of popped in my head to think, hey, wait a minute. Bobby Lashley, the title tonight, no disqualification. Oh, you know what? I think we're leading towards the rematch at WrestleMania. And I thought about how this year we got the LA Knight Bray Wyatt pitch black match, which I don't know what that's going to entail. I just hope that whatever it entails, it happens in the ring and happens to a point that people in attendance can watch it. You can't really afford a cinematic match when you got 4 matches on the card, essentially.
Yeah, what do we make of this pitch black thing?
I don't know. I imagine it's going to be.
Are you still in the dark on this?
I'm in the dark about the pitch black match. I believe it's probably going to be like a hardcore match with like a spotlight on the ring, something like that. Something like similar to what we saw with Bray Wyatt a couple of years ago, where he had like the red lighting when he wrestled. Something to that regard. Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss. I mean, I don't see Alexa Bliss as a real competitor for taking out Bianca Belair WrestleMania season-wise. And then you got the championship match. This is the 3rd time Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens have faced off at the Royal Rumble for the championship. It is the 2nd time within his current title reign. It was 2 years ago at Tropicana Field in the Thunderdome that these guys faced off at the Royal Rumble for the
Thunderdome.
title.
Oh, those are fun days.
And it was obviously in 2017 at the Alamo Dome. Kevin Owens was the champion, took on the challenger Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens left with the title. So who has ever been champion has left with the title. And to be fair, again, I don't really see Kevin Owens. See him giving a great effort. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him necessarily losing the belt.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of false finishes.
We see obviously Sami Zayn in this providing some sort of turn here. I think this is it for Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. I think this is the end of the line this Saturday. Whatever it's going to be, whether he's the referee or whether he has to help in the match, this is, I think, the end of the line. I think we're seeing Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns for the title at Elimination Chamber. So I think Roman Reigns keeps the belt, but this is the end of the line for Sami Zayn and the Bloodline.
Well, here's an interesting perspective that, I wouldn't put it past WWE for doing if they can't get the big The Rock, kind of match going, which it seems like, it doesn't seem like it's happening, to be honest with you at this point. I could see Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble, and then I could see, after the match, I could see there might be a little inner conflict between the Bloodline, which does not set up a pay-per-view in a matchup at Elimination Chamber, but I see it at WrestleMania. That could happen.
Because I see one, obviously. I mean, Sami Zayn. So is that crazy? Sami Zayn winning the Rumble? I don't see it. I don't see that being crazy. So no, I don't see that being crazy. I do see the more likelihood that
Cody Rhodes,
that it's going, and not even Cody Rhodes, and I kind of hope not, because that is also too predictable.
That is very predictable.
I'm not saying that I have a better option, but Cody Rhodes is just too predictable.
So who would be your ideal choice at this point?
If it's not The Rock, it sounds stupid, but like, what about Drew or, another big time competitor like that?
I want to see Sami Zayn. That would be cool.
Sami Zayn,
that comes from somebody who wasn't a big
see
Sami
him in a
Zayn
championship
guy.
match. I see him in a championship match at Chamber because I see more or less the Usos versus Sammy and Kevin at WrestleMania. So then you got obviously Roman in his title match, big time match, and then I see the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which I think would be a big time tag match.
I'm gonna flip that around. So here's what I can see happening. I can see Roman being really ticked off that Sammy wins the Rumble, and then at the next pay-per-view, Elimination Chamber, he says, "All right, Usos, I need you to go kick the crap out of get the crap out of Sami Zayn, and then maybe Sami Zayn at that point will have his mystery opponent or mystery tag team partner as Kevin Owens, and then kill two birds with one stone." And here's the best part. The Usos, they don't, they have some cheap WWE version style where they don't lose the titles, but maybe it comes like a no contest. And the point of the match is to have Roman Reigns get the job done, where Sami Zayn gets his butt kicked to the point where, like, all right, I guess I'll pick up the scraps at WrestleMania, setting something up that way.
So,
I'm just saying.
And it's already been out there a lot of places, and I'm gonna preface it this first. Heading into the Royal Rumble, I will be posting, obviously, from San Antonio, Texas, on social media, but when it comes to looking at social media or trying to find anything happening, I will have no interest in any of that while I'll be down in Texas. But one quick little, I don't want to say spoiler, but this isn't even Royal Rumble related, sort of, is because it's already out there and I've already seen it, and it's one of those things, it can't be unseen, is the Elimination Chamber. Somebody has posted the essential, not the poster, because they already had like essentially a poster to sell tickets, a collage of wrestlers when tickets went on sale. But the chairs specifically themselves, the event chairs, are being printed as we speak. So essentially what's on the chairs is what is on the poster. And it doesn't necessarily give away anything grand. Sami Zayn isn't holding up the belt or anything like that, because again, this is going into the next event. So it wouldn't be giving away the result of Elimination Chamber.
Well, that would be stupid.
And it doesn't even really give away the result of what's going to happen at the Rumble, other than the fact that there's only one person on the chair, and his name is Sami Zayn. So obviously he's going to be getting a big push. And it's like Elimination Chamber themed. It's him in a pod, like trying to get out.
Everybody's talking. Here's the thing. Everybody talks about the Roman Reigns, like his run to WrestleMania this year, the road to WrestleMania. What's more interesting to me, which is I can't believe
Sami Zayn's road to WrestleMania.
Exactly. That to me is more interesting. And that's the crazy part coming out of my mouth, because if you would have said this to me 2 years ago, I said absolutely not. That's stupid. Sami Zayn is growing on me as with this whole Sami Uso thing. Like this is his best work. I've said it before, and I think this right now, he's got to capitalize on this, and I think he will.
So counting the Rumbles, there's 5 matches at this pay-per-view, and as I mentioned at the start of this, I'm not as excited because the 3 undercard matches are not. First off, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, I was more excited for last year, and Seth Rollins coming out with the whole Shield thing, thought it was great. And that was actually at the time, too, that you thought it was going to be Roman at WrestleMania for sure, but I feel like Seth Rollins, not saying anything against Kevin Owens, but just with the current storyline, I just felt Seth had a little more of a chance, right? You had Bobby and Brock for the other title, which was not just for the title, but the whole Bobby and Brock for the first time. It was a big time match. Then you had the tag team match of Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix, which I think that's a WrestleMania caliber special attraction. That's similar to the Miz and Maurice versus Cena and, Nikki Bella back in the day, like a special attraction tag team match featuring legends, right? And then you had the women's title match, which while Becky Lynch and Doudrop might have been a throwaway match last year, it's probably just as much of a throwaway match as Bianca versus Alexa Bliss, right? So I thought the undercard last year was a little bit better than the undercard this year.
It absolutely is. I mean, the matches to me.
Yeah, we don't have any like legends in the undercard matches this year. We don't.
No, and the matches themselves are very. I feel like they're very predictable. Like who's going to win?
I mean, Bray Wyatt. It's really cool. Don't get me wrong, but
okay. You're not going to have this huge return by Bray Wyatt to have him lose the match that he comes back to. I just don't see that happening. I also don't see Bianca Belair dropping the belt. That's the other thing. And then let's be honest. I don't see Kevin Owens winning.
I think it's going to be a great match, but yeah, I feel like we could use some other special attraction match, because that's the thing. Roman has both belts here. So if Roman was with one belt, then the other belt would be interesting. But unfortunately, Roman has both belts. So there's one championship match other than two championship matches. I might find interest in Charlotte versus Sonya Deville if they make that at the last minute. I just saw that at the house show last week, and that was interesting.
Zero interest.
They've been doing that at house shows. I saw that last Sunday night at a house show between Charlotte and Sonya Deville. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I have zero interest in Sonya Deville.
Again, I understand Sonya's not going to throw in Charlotte.
Here's the thing: like, if you're going to have Charlotte facing anybody, and in general, I don't. Sonya Deville, I don't see it. I mean, maybe it's just to be an enhancement to Charlotte Flair, but at the same time, I don't see much stock in Sonya Deville. I want to see Charlotte Flair with the upper echelon of the women's division. That's where
I think a lot of people were talking about Raw 30 was lacking a lot of the women legends, and I think one of those main reasons is because those are going to be
the Bellas.
I
thought they were advertised, but maybe I was wrong.
You might have been right there, and I know Kane was advertised, and I did not see him.
I didn't see. Here's the thing: what they did to get the legends there is they had the APA.
Yeah, they had them all in the back. So Kane might have been in the poker game.
I didn't see him though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I did see Johnny Gargano in the background with Candice LeRae.
I do know and feel that there's going to be a lot of women involved in the Royal Rumble because, again, it's much more difficult than the men. I don't even understand how they've ever had the 30 women Royal Rumble. I thought from the get-go it was going to be 20 women.
Aren't you excited? Nia Jax is reportedly going to be in the Rumble. Aren't you pumped? Do you want to see her? You want to see her?
I don't hate. I don't hate Nia Jax.
I don't either. But I never thought she was a good wrestler.
I don't really think she's a great wrestler, but she provides a different character, a different look. Obviously a lot of people don't like Doudrop or whatever, but it just provides a different. But
Doudrop can go though. That's the difference with Doudrop, which I expect. I expect Kirby back at the Rumble too.
And you like having the like the Omos character or the Yokozuna character, or some other kind of the more China like beast character than just.
I like how you put that beast.
You like having that character to kind of be different a little bit in the world, just like
Okay,
you don't want all men's wrestlers to be Rey Mysterio or all men's wrestlers to be Brock Lesnar.
So I mean. Okay, so who are your favorites to win the women's Royal Rumble? Since I
think Rhea Ripley's obviously a big favorite.
I'll give you one other one that I think it's going to come down to these two. I think it's going to be Rhea Ripley, and I think it's going to be Raquel Gonzalez.
Raquel Gonzalez would be.
Is it Raquel Rodriguez? I forget now.
Yeah, I mean, either way, that would be.
Raquel, there you go.
That would be a good pick. I'm trying to see who else would be a good pick. Be the best pick. And this would swerve everybody. Mandy Rose, that'd be a great pick.
Yeah, I don't see that happening because how that went.
I put this poll out there for the men's Royal Rumble when it comes to kind of like star-studded, obviously, and some sort of special appearances. What do you think there's a better chance of appearing in the Royal Rumble when it comes to these two stars who've both been in the most recent ones? Do you think if you had to have one or the other, which one are you picking? Johnny Knoxville or Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny performed better.
I'm just saying, what are your odds are that if one of these two is in the Rumble, that it's going to be one of these two?
If you had to put odds, I think Johnny Knoxville's schedule is a little bit lighter than Bad Bunny's these days because Bad Bunny's a very world-renowned artist. Nothing against Johnny Knoxville, but I think the celebrity status and the schedule of Bad Bunny, I think, would pose more conflicts than Johnny Knoxville's schedule.
So yeah, I think Rhea Ripley's
and plus Johnny Knoxville. The only thing I would say the only reason why I would say Bad Bunny too is Bad Bunny could go and this could promote his next tour. I don't know. I don't follow Johnny Knoxville's next project, but is there another Jackass coming out?
There could be another Johnny Knoxville match at WrestleMania. I mean, that's what like that kind of stuff could exist.
I don't know. I think based on the scheduling purpose, I would say not.
I just hope the Royal Rumble's entertaining. I know last year's Royal Rumble matches kind of underperformed. Like I said, I like the undercard and I was more excited going in. I understand last year's matches underperformed. So because the undercard is not something I'm that excited for this year, I hope the matches then overperform.
Let me ask you this for both matches. I'm going to start with the women's match. Is there one women's wrestler that you think would be a good surprise that you're not 100% certain that they're going to be in it?
No, because everybody. Trish Stratus has been in it. Lita's been in it. Like there isn't really any woman who hasn't been in the Royal Rumble that they're like holding out that I have really seen.
You know who
other than like other AEW or other company talent.
I will give you a name. Chelsea Green.
I wouldn't be completely surprised by that though, I guess.
I would, because they had, according to the latest reports, there just hasn't been any writing for her.
Yeah, well, I just wouldn't be surprised. When the women, the only people that would truly surprise me is like maybe like some sort of celebrity who has no WWE involvement, or somebody from another company that I'm not familiar with, or that has no WWE involvement. Any of the Kelly Kellys, any of the the Bellas, any of these people being in the Rumble. Because that's the problem with the women's Royal Rumble. They made a 30-women Royal Rumble, despite the fact that they have a 12-woman roster.
Yeah, they have 12. Yeah, and most of them are legends that are coming back. So you'll get Michelle McCool back.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you're going to. I heard things this year that Michelle McCool might not be in it. I've heard things about like the Bellas, being told that they didn't essentially have anything for them in the past. So I don't know who we're going to see, but nobody in those realms would surprise me. Even like a Mickie James wouldn't surprise me.
No, I think that door's open.
I do see though some sort of forbidden door entry from maybe the men or the women's, obviously with WWE working recently with New Japan and stuff like that. So, I could see
Jay White.
I could see Jay White, and that would be like AJ Styles-esque, especially if he's here for good.
Yeah, that's the men's version that of like a surprise. Obviously, it's going to be a cooler surprise than the women's, because it's like at this point, there's kind of, I hate to say it, but there's slim pickings in the women's side of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe, maybe because of that Japan relationship, maybe Kairi Sane comes back.
Yeah, I was thinking that, obviously.
Maybe. That could be cool.
I do see, though, that would just be a one-off because she's got that big match. She is the champion, and she has that big match coming up with...
That's cool if it's a one-off. That would,
Mercedes Moné at the next New Japan event in San Jose.
But if Jay White... Man, if Jay White's involved, that's cool.
Okada.
Also, what is it? Who was the other? There was another guy that I just saw recently. Was it Kona? Kona Reeves, I think it is.
With,
I can't remember. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it was somebody from New Japan that was a free agent. Like it's reportedly available and has been in talks. With
when you said that, it made me think about the Ascension member who just signed with Impact.
Oh yeah, yep.
No, I think he's going by something similar.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe I mixed that up. But I also heard maybe AOP. Yeah, maybe AOP gets 2 slots in the Rumble. That wouldn't be like, oh great, it'd be kind of a meh, but that could be some names. I've heard they're back in the mix.
What about Alberto Del Rio?
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening. If the timing was right, Brian Cage. But Brian Cage's contract, I think, is expiring just after the Rumble, so I don't see Brian Cage involved.
I'm excited for the Rumble. It's right now 40,000 tickets have been sold. They keep adding seats. They didn't have, I guess, which is strange to me, very strange to me. I guess they didn't have the anticipation as they did the last 2 times. So the last 2 times they were at the Alamo Dome, it was set up to be just a straight dome show. The ring at the 50-yard line, selling the whole place, right? Just a regular, like they sell WrestleMania, right? But this time around, they've done more of what they did for last year's Royal Rumble in St. Louis and stuff like that, and what they did for SummerSlam in Las Vegas. And they, kind of do it, similar to how the San Antonio Spurs played basketball there. They put the ring at one end, and then they, essentially shoot the one end, the end zone side. Like the ring will be closer to like the 10-yard line of a football field. And then they're just selling like the half bowl, the horseshoe of the end zone. And they've added more seats. Like, so there's people that are going to be further down the line. Here in Syracuse, I think we have the dome here where Syracuse University plays basketball. So a similar kind of setup where they can kind of like add seats down the line. Obviously have the upper rows so that you're more elevated, because if you're too low and the ring is down by the end zone, you won't be able to see it.
Yeah, so
so it's like the further down the line you go, the further away from the ring you go, the higher up you need to be to kind of see over it. But they should have just, especially with how hot tickets have been, it's just strange to me that they never just were going to sell it like they did the last couple times. The last Royal Rumble got 55,000. The previous Royal Rumble in 97, they say got like 65,000 or whatever. But the point is, they were 2 full Alamo Domes with the ring at center. And now it's more or less like what we saw, like last year with the ring on one end and then the camera kind of making it look like, we're just facing the end zone.
Yep.
So the camera will just be facing an end zone of the Alamo Dome instead of a sideline like they would at like WrestleMania. But as of right now, 40,000. They originally actually slotted for 33,000 until they put more.
40's good.
Until they put more seats on sale going down the lines, like away from the ring.
Hey, 40 is a good number. I mean, that's a lot.
It's not bad. Like I said, I just don't understand how they returned to the Alamo Dome, but with like the least expectations they've ever had for going to the Alamo Dome. It's kind of strange.
That'll be. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the show. I mean, it's the Royal Rumble.
It's not going to have much of a set. They're just going to be coming out similar to what they've done. Not last year's Royal Rumble. Last year's Royal Rumble I was all right with, but if you remember SummerSlam and both this year and the previous year, where they kind of came out the corner, had like a little.
Yeah, it was kind of odd.
They kind of come out similar to where the football teams would come out playing football, like the tunnel, it's just like a tunnel entrance, no big entrance way or anything like that. But this time around, talking about the Royal Rumble, we talked just about the 2023 Royal Rumble, which is the 36th Royal Rumble in history. And, we've talked before about the stats, who's been in it longest, who's got the most appearances, that kind of stuff. But it being one of my favorite events of the year, it's just crazy to think the silliness, the nonsense, the ridiculousness, and just the outright nonsensical, illogical Royal Rumble rules and some of the nuances about the Royal Rumble that make absolutely no sense, that we seem to just kind of put up with over all of these years. And there is many of them. And I want to start off talking with the time. I think originally it was slated, it was every 2 minutes in 1995 when Shawn Michaels went the length of the Royal Rumble, because they didn't, I guess, have confidence if a person could go from 1 to 30 and win it. It was only a 30-minute Royal Rumble, so everybody came out every 1 minute. And then since then, it's kind of been a smorgasbord. We've kind of taken their word for it, that it's every 90 seconds now, a minute and a half. But I mean,
Jared, you get the stopwatch out?
I mean, it's unfortunate. You kind of have to do that, right? I mean, so picture it like this. If you watch basketball, right? And obviously when you watch it on television, the shot clock comes up when it hits 10 seconds to start counting down, so it's getting close. But could you imagine if you watched basketball? Could you imagine if you were in the arena or you were watching on TV and the shot clock just didn't appear until it hit 10 seconds, or until they essentially, the powers that be, decided that it was at 10 seconds, meaning you had no idea from where they started to get to it. You took their word for it and maybe shot clocked it yourself that it was 24 seconds, but you're taking their word for it. Like the shot clock is blank and only hits 10 seconds.
Harold, I will argue though. I think it's cool because when you see it pop up, I mean, at least I haven't been to a Royal Rumble in person, but I've seen it on TV for many years.
Yeah.
What the cool thing about it is when it pops up, there's the 10 seconds.
Well, yes.
Then you get the whole crowd going like, ooh.
But when you're in attendance, there is no number anywhere until it hits 10 seconds.
I think
so.
That's
it's not
fine.
like, so we have no idea. I mean, it's fine because it's a made up and entertaining sport. But like I said,
exactly.
It's just true. These things we just kind of accept, because I'm thinking, if again we're watching the Royal Rumble, I'm watching with people.
Do you really want the Rumble to be technical? Come on.
I mean, when does the time start? Does it start when the music hits? Does it start when the person enters the ring? Does it start? When exactly?
I think they just go with the flow with it.
Because and again, the '99 Royal Rumble. Recently watching that and hearing reviews about that, people were saying that Royal Rumble was all over the board when it looked like sometimes it was 2 minutes, sometimes it was 1 minute. Granted, the length of the Royal Rumble outside of 95 has been somewhat consistent. We can expect about an hour of total Royal Rumble time. But you think about it, like some of the people who have the longest time in a Royal Rumble, like a Ted DiBiase in 1991, I think he lasted like 50 minutes. lasted longer in the Royal Rumble as a loser than Shawn Michaels, who won it in 1995, because again, they're playing fast and loose with the rules here.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels went from 1 to 30. But he only was in the Royal Rumble for like 36 minutes. And obviously, the silly thing of 1 and 2, that's another thing that WWE just does to amplify the importance, because if somebody won it from number 2, it would be just as important and just as, I guess, of an achievement as if someone won it from number 1. That's the same number. It doesn't have the same ring to it. It doesn't have the same, the guy went all the way. But yes, if number 2 went all the way, that would be the same. And I don't think anyone's ever gone from 2 all the way. But that just kind of shows that.
Well, no, because they hype up the number 1.
Yeah, the amplification on the number 1 person doing it. But it's the same accomplishment as if number 2 did it.
Yeah.
Number 1 has probably won it more than like number 6, because number 6 and number 7, like these other random numbers, don't really have as much importance or hype. It's like whenever we watch the best of 7 matches, as we just saw in AEW, they never go 5 matches. They never go 6. They always go 7.
Let me ask you this:
2 out of 3 falls, always 3 falls.
I was just thinking of something. Do you think, is this out of the box that Randy Orton returns?
We're talking returns. No, I don't think it's out of the box, and it wouldn't be out of the box with the.
I was just thinking about that. I'm sitting there thinking timing and stuff. I'm like, I remember the situation where Randy Orton's music and Shane McMahon's music, that whole situation at the Rumble.
I think I do. Like, that was last year, right? Yeah.
I think it was that. Yeah.
Remember, Shane McMahon was the writer of last year's Royal Rumble, and he hasn't worked in WWE since. That's how bad apparently people thought it was.
People did not like it. No, I was thinking about that because I'm like, I know we were talking to technical aspects. I'm like, wait a second, Randy Orton, that music situation. That was
some other silly rules that they play fast and loose with when it comes to the Royal Rumble. Self-elimination. So Randy Orton makes me think of Randy Savage. He eliminated himself, I think, in 1993 or 1994. And he went and chased after, I think it was Jake the Snake Roberts. They did not count that elimination, though, because they said he was self-eliminated. And I specifically actually remember, not in a Royal Rumble, but a Battle Royal, that the Great Khali eliminated himself. I don't remember the exact thing. I think it was on a SmackDown, but there was a Battle Royal. And I think somebody came up and like hit Khali from behind or something, and then ran out of the ring.
He steps over.
And then he steps over. And Michael Cole, the consummate, professional realist, I guess that he is, he actually made note of the botch. And he's like, hey, wait a minute. The Great Khali is eliminated. And Jerry Lawler, essentially not wanting to maybe lose his job and trying to stay character the whole time, was like trying to like look over at Michael Cole and be like, shut up, Michael Cole. Because he was like trying to be like, oh no, well, he eliminated himself. That doesn't count. And Michael Cole was like, no, I believe it does count if you go over the top rope. And Jerry Lawler was just like acting dumb, like he doesn't know the rule to a T and not knowing that Khali messed up.
Yeah, but King, that works.
He's like, I don't know about that. I think if you eliminate yourself. But I mean, if that's the case, Drew Carey is still in the Royal Rumble because he eliminated himself to get away from Kane. So obviously,
but here's the thing: the King character on the broadcast, he kind of comes off like that sometimes. So like, you can buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because he was actually playing like good guy there, like kind of sticking up for Khali. But in his heel character, he should be like, no, you idiot! That idiot eliminated himself. But instead, he's like, no, Khali's not an idiot. You stop that, Michael Cole. Michael Cole sounded more like Jerry the King Lawler. Like, what an idiot! He just eliminated himself.
But I could see Jerry the King Lawler kind of coming off like, and like. Jerry sometimes kind of comes off kind of.
Jerry Lawler was trying to save the segment and be like, I don't know.
Hey, he's always in business. He's always trying to do because
according to our script, Khali is not eliminated here, so I have to say I'm not sure. But so they play fast and loose with the rule of self-eliminations, right? Are you eliminated? It wasn't until 1995 with the whole Shawn Michaels thing before they fully really decided that it's got to be 2 feet hitting the floor. And obviously that is a fast and loose rule because it's got to be the floor, what they define the floor. If Mandy Rose falls out of the ring and lands on Otis, whose body is entirely touching the floor, or if Kofi Kingston jumps out onto some pancakes, which are touching the floor, the barricade also, not the floor. The floor is the floor. Like, it is strange, like I said, So
are we going to see something crazy from Kofi this year then?
I mean, we see something crazy from Kofi almost every year, but that's another rule that they kind of just make up on the fly of what, I guess, defines the floor. Before that, though, before Shawn Michaels and the 2 feet touching the floor, it was actually just over the top rope, and they like never mentioned, or just being over the top rope, never mentioned the 2 feet touching the floor thing. Another one is being eliminated by people who are not in the match. So in 1996, Shawn Michaels, who won the Royal Rumble, was eliminated by Vader, who had previously been eliminated and was annoyed, got back in the ring and threw Shawn Michaels over the top rope. They said, nah, he's not eliminated because Vader is an ineligible participant. But in 1992, when Hulk Hogan had been eliminated in the match, I think it was I don't know if it was by Sid but he got eliminated. Either way, he eliminated Sid Justice or pulled on Sid Justice's hand while Ric Flair came up from behind and did the scoop. So he assisted Ric Flair in winning the title that night. That, though, counted as a legit elimination. So they kind of make that up as they go.
Yeah, it just fits the booking of the match. That's all.
So they make it up as they go if you know how you're eliminated if it's somebody who's not in the match. 1997, some of the New Japan luchadors or the AAA, Mexican luchadors that came over, they were doing some crazy spots, and one of them went through the ropes. I think it was Mil Mascaras, and he went through the ropes, and they counted that as an elimination. So there is that silly nonsense of he went through the ropes, but they counted.
I don't even remember that. That was so long ago.
Yeah, so that was also at the Alamo Dome. So they counted that as, an elimination. And, one thing about being in the Rumble itself, we play fast and loose with this rule, and that is who's in the Rumble. Because as we saw a couple weeks ago on Raw, we had a Royal Rumble match to determine a qualifier, right? We have a qualifying match. You got to earn your way in the Rumble unless you declare yourself to be in the Rumble. You have some wrestlers just say, I'll be in the Rumble. And then you have other wrestlers who have to win qualifying matches to be in the Royal Rumble. And then you have legends.
It's called clout. It's just clout. That's all it is. It comes down to how much clout you got.
Cody Rhodes announced he would be in the Royal Rumble, but Ricochet had to win a match on SmackDown to be in the Royal Rumble.
Cody Rhodes' clout, Ricochet's clout. It's a whole different ballgame.
And then also, obviously, the legends who are not under any WWE contract at all, who just kind of show up. How do they essentially get into the Royal Rumble? How do they qualify to be in the Royal Rumble? Like, what is the qualification? There is no qualification.
It's clout.
Yeah,
it's clout. That's all that is. It's hey, if John Cena wanted to be in the Rumble, hey, I'm in.
Once in a while, again, this is a rule they come up back and forth with, or they kind of show on TV every so often. Every so often, they'll do the whole picking your number thing. Some years they do it. Some years they don't. I remember back in the day, they used to roll a big cage and it'd come out and pick number. Ted DiBiase, I think, paid off Slick in 1989 so he could get number 30 that year. So I will say that kind of fun rule.
I don't mind that, but I just don't want it to be revealed what number it is. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't mind seeing the expressions like you get you'll get like the devious look from one of the heel wrestlers like. All right.
And that's another one that they've played with every so often. Remember when they've had matches? I think 1996 was one year where they had a pre-show match between Triple H and one of the Godwins. The winner got number 30. The loser got number 1. And then some other years they've had matches on Raw with the winner getting number 30. So they've definitely played with that to see who's going to get number 30.
I just say leave it alone. I don't want to know who's in the match. I don't want to know who's there until they come out.
So just these nonsensical rules that are just made up on the fly, last minute. We just got to, unlike this, because obviously there's big football games coming up. The Super Bowl's coming up. And I love the Royal Rumble. But the one thing is that we have to kind of acknowledge versus a real sport is that could you imagine if we loved the real sports and, like football games, for example, they played until someone said 1 minute left in the game. Like, we wouldn't accept any of that stuff.
Oh, so like in your parents' backyard.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Hey, mom's asking, get the whistle. All right, guys, mom's calling us for dinner. Let's get the next score wins.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how the Royal Rumble is played every single year.
But that's what makes it wonderful because it's not, yes, it's scripted, but it's quirky, and I just love every second of it.
But it's scripted in a way where they just, like I said, when it comes to the rules of the match.
What rules?
Exactly.
What
We're
rules?
36 years into the Royal Rumble. This is the 36th Royal Rumble, and yet the only rules we know are that there'll be 30 participants coming in at odd numbered times.
No. The only rules you know is that there's not going to be any set rules.
And yes,
really.
And one of the final points I want to make is that's another rule, right? The Royal Rumble has some years been known as no disqualification. What are the rules in that? Well, Finlay in 2008 was eliminated from the Royal Rumble via disqualification.
Wasn't that the Shillelagh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was eliminated from the Royal Rumble via disqualification. Obviously, we've seen people hit each other with chairs and trash can lids and other Royal Rumbles, but that year, eliminated because and when it comes to, and here's a rule, I don't know, because again, they change it up all the time, is when it comes to factions, when it comes to people having outside help. Some years I've seen, and this is more rare, but most of the time everyone comes out by themselves. Like if Roman Reigns was in the Royal Rumble, he'd probably come out without the bloodline. But in other years, he might come out with the bloodline. And that's kind of one of those ones where we don't know, what the rule is.
It's they
kind of make that up as they go.
I don't mind it if they're making it up as they go, because then you just, just when you think you know, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And I kind of that's kind of part of the fun intrigue about the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be a fun Rumble on Saturday. Don't forget Saturday. I know you'll be there.
I'll remember. I'm not going to forget it's Saturday.
Saturday pay-per-view, Saturday Royal Rumble, not on Sunday. So make sure you get on the old Peacock device and get going.
So the 36th Royal Rumble event. It's hard to believe that it is that old. Heading into WrestleMania 39. I was actually looking up Elimination Chamber the other day, and what's crazy about that is if Elimination Chamber was like starting the first one, we'd be on we're on Elimination Chamber 18 or something like that. And I remember how big WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 18. I thought that was such a huge event. I thought, wow, can't believe this historic, massive event's been around for 18 years. And now I'm old enough to have seen things like Elimination Chamber, which nobody holds in regard to a big 4 pay-per-view, having been around as long as WrestleMania was in the year 2000. But either way, it's going to be interesting. I do think, and I do hope that there are more than just the competitors we talked about as chances to win, because there have been years where there's not. You know what I mean? 1999 is a good one. When Stone Cold and Vince McMahon were doing the whole bounty thing, it was Stone Cold and Vince McMahon and their rivalry and essentially 28 other people who you're like, well, Test isn't winning it. The oddities aren't winning it, so you had just a bunch of nonsense people who have no shot of winning it. So I would like there at least to be 4 or 5 guys in there who would say, it's not insane. Braun Strowman, there's one, right? That's a guy.
Gunther.
That would be one.
I think he's going to eliminate a lot of people.
I mean, after watching Raw 30 this week, I definitely was like, man, that I personally, if I was a booker, so I can't say what they're saying, but for me as a fan, what a bright future for that guy. And I really want to see him in the ring with a Roman Reigns for the title in a WrestleMania. Yeah,
event. I think he's gonna put on a good show a good showing at the Rumble. It's going to be interesting to see who eliminates who, Braun or Gunther. That's going to be very fun, and I cannot wait to see those guys throw hands again.
I always say the Royal Rumble is the one event every single year in which that you could find a way to legitimately bet on it without any sort of because obviously wrestling's scripted and without any advantage. So if you're looking for a game and you want to get some friends together and you want to bet on the Royal Rumble, here is a fair way to make some money. It's kind of like, fantasy football style. It's the one event you can do this with. And that is essentially you put 30 numbers in a bowl, right? Like $10 a person or $20 a person. Obviously the winner gets the whole pot, right? So you got to get 30 friends together. If you got 10 friends, you each get 3 numbers.
Yep.
That way, and you stick your hand in the bowl, you randomly pick out 3 numbers. And those 3 numbers are your numbers. And if that person wins the Royal Rumble, so that way you're not betting on a wrestler. And that way you're not even betting on a number because you're picking the number at random. So if you know that Brock Lesnar is going to win the Royal Rumble at number 27, you still have just the same odds of winning because it's at random that you would pick number 27.
Yep.
Right? So everything would be just completely randomized. So if you're looking to have a game with some friends and want to actually put money down in a legitimate way, because there's no other way in the wrestling throughout the year, you can kind of legitimize.
There you go, folks.
Like I said, like Vince McMahon, if he was, or Triple H who was booking the Rumble, would have just as much a shot of winning this raffle as you would. And that's the only time in the world of wrestling you can kind of say that because it's not a real sport, right? Because like I said, even if he's new, I'm picking Brock Lesnar 27 to win the Royal Rumble. Well, unfortunately, you don't get to pick either of those. You put your hand in a bowl and you get what comes out.
That's it.
So, if you're thinking of a way to bet on the Royal Rumble this Saturday night from the Alamo Dome, should be exciting. And I'll post pictures and videos and any last minute updates I have from San Antonio this week. Should be a good time.